Since I saw you last.
Pretty good.
Good. I've been doing pretty well. How's that collection? Is it getting any smaller?
No, in fact, it got bigger.
Bigger?
It's
Yeah.
super big.
I'd expect it to be a little bigger for a while because it gets inflamed, but it should stick together. You know, it's a collection, and we're irritating the walls so that they can stick together and not come apart. Well, let me take a look.
Do you mind if we record a little bit of audio?
Okay, is it okay if I pull these down a little bit?
Please do.
Okay, let's see. There it is.
And I didn't take a shower yesterday, so
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Okay. Yeah, definitely not getting smaller, that's for sure. It looks bigger to me as well.
Yeah, it's bigger than when
Yeah.
you did the.
I think so too, but it's not, at least it's not red and inflamed, so I don't think it's infected. I think it's just, let's see.
John, do you want to unbutton your shirt so that they can?
Yeah, that's
Go
probably the way
fire.
to go. Okay.
Yeah,
So-
yesterday it was even. Oops. Right.
Uh-huh.
So it was like really.
Yeah, which direction do you think it's going? Has he been watching? Is it getting better or worse?
Well, it was looking like a pear. So it was like the bottom
Yeah,
part
hanging?
cut
Yeah.
was, and now it
Sure.
looks like a melon. So it's all
Yeah.
around.
Okay. Would you say that it's getting generally larger or smaller or the same?
Larger.
Larger, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We should probably drain it out again. I think it's not infected, so that's good. If it was infected, it would be red, inflamed, and it would hurt. If you're able, do you feel much pain?
I
Some?
do, and
Yeah.
that's one thing that I wanted to, is this,
Yes.
Yeah, tell me about
that
that.
one thing I wanted to tell you was that,
Uh-huh.
well, I told you this before, but it's been
Yeah.
been a couple of weeks, but,
Yeah.
so I was laying down on my belly for about 95% of the day,
Okay.
and over a span of about 9 weeks of
Mhm.
laying down for about 90% of the day,
Right.
then the swelling decreased
Yeah.
considerably, so
Yeah,
that it
yeah.
was just a droop somewhat,
Right.
that my wife was saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you
Mhm.
put in the sclerosing
Sure.
agent,
Yeah.
and all was all good. But
Mhm.
then okay.
Yeah.
Right before you put in the sclerosing agent, then I was feeling like somebody was yelling at me, screaming at me in my bottom, because it was just on fire. It
Okay.
really bothered me. But then there would be,
Yeah.
then it would get it cooled down after a few days,
Okay.
and
Is this after the sclerosing?
no, this
No,
was
before?
just before the
Okay.
sclerosing. So about
Okay.
3 or 4 days of just laying down pretty much
Mhm.
7 hours straight, and then maybe getting up for a half hour, and then laying down 7 hours
Okay.
straight again.
Yeah.
And after doing that for about 3 or 4 days straight,
Right.
then the yelling or the screaming would calm down, way down, so it was kind of a
Right.
decent tingle.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then after you put in the sclerosing agent, then there wasn't yelling at me or screaming at me anymore, and
Mhm.
so I thought that it was kind of good. But then you told me,
Yeah.
you know, you can put pressure on it,
Right.
but don't sit on it, because
Yeah.
sitting on it is too much pressure.
Right.
But then
exactly.
laying on it is okay pressure.
Yeah.
But then my wife and I were talking about that, and
Mhm.
we're afraid that I might get breakdown
Yeah.
Late too much.
if I lay too
Yeah.
much on it. So it's,
So
I
it's
didn't know
balance, yeah.
whether I should, how
Yeah.
much I should, because you told me an hour on and then
Right.
an hour off.
Definitely no breakdown now. The skin looks really good, but you haven't really been sitting on it much at all. Huh?
Well,
little
after you put in the sclerosing agent, then I
Mhm.
didn't really feel too much burning or
Okay.
screaming or yelling pain anymore.
Yeah.
And then so I took that as a sign as everything is kind of groovy, kind of cool.
Mhm.
And so I started to spend a little bit more time, instead of a half hour, maybe an hour, or maybe 2 hours,
Yeah.
sitting. And I also, I had constipation for about 10 days,
Mhm.
because I was eating too much meat. And then I started to eat carbohydrates, and I think that's might also add to the swelling. But then I did a pull-up. I did a pull-up outside, and I think what that does is I think that it causes that shearing, that irritation of the bone against the soft tissue right next door, and might causes because it was starting to get swollen even before I did the pull-ups. And I don't know if that was probably that was because I was just spending much more time sitting,
Yeah, I'd be surprised if it was your fault, really. I doubt there's much you could do to make it better or worse. I think the only thing you could do to make it worse would be to sit on it for long periods of time and cause skin breakdown. But you'll know it. Your wife was going to see that before it happens, and you're skilled in recognizing it, I think, has happened before. So that's awfully helpful.
Babe, I know you for a long time, and I did not understand. After the procedure, do you still have pain, or you don't have pain?
I think you got better.
Yeah, I don't
So
have a lot of pain right now. It's not yelling or screaming at me to the extent that it was, but then if I sit for a long period of time, for like 2 or 3 hours, then I'm asking for trouble. I'm starting to jump back into the category of screaming or yelling at me again.
So it's interesting, the sclerosis actually took the pain away, so then
because before, whether he did anything or not, he would have that
pain,
sensation.
Interesting. I would have thought it'd be the opposite. That's what I more usually hear. But well, so the question is, what should we do? I think the goal here is to take all the fluid out and irritate the walls so that when they touch each other, they stick together. And it seems that we've irritated it enough that it actually got bigger. So I think we've done the opposite of what we're hoping to do. So I think we should try it again. One thing that I didn't do last time that I think we should do this time is I mixed the sclerosant before just with saline and contrast, which isn't really very irritating. This time I think we should do a little more irritation using ethiodol. It's an oil with iodine in it, and it's basically a contrast, but it's kind of even irritating by itself. So I think we should drain it all out. Okay, I think I could use the consent form if you. I think this time we should drain it completely out. On the same day, put the same sclerosant, but this time mix it with ethiodol back in. Let it sit. Maybe this time we ought to allow you to lay around for a few hours with that very concentrated dense sclerosant in the bucket, and then leave the drain just for the few hours while you're here, and then we'll use the same drain to suck everything out so it's completely flat and let it try to stick together.
That's what I was wondering. I was wondering why you didn't do that last time, because a lot of times people put a tube in there.
Right.
Like if there's hematoma or
Sure,
something like that.
I'm scared of leaving a tube in for more than a few hours or a day or so because right now it's sterile. It's a clean collection. There's no bugs in there, which is a great thing because we really don't want that to get infected. That's a whole different animal. Infection is very bad. Unfortunately, infection, it would cure it. If you got that infected, it would stick together, but it would be such a mess trying to heal from that. So leaving a drain in or a tube is a open freeway for bacteria to go in and out, no matter how careful you are.
And especially in the area where it is.
And in that area especially, exactly.
That's good to know.
So,
I didn't
that's the reason I haven't. If we just left a drain in there, a drain is the best way for sure to make a collection, either abscess or something else, go away, but it's also a great way to cause an infection. So trying to be a little delicate and gentle and work our way up. The expense is that you have to come back and we meet a few more times. When if we just put a drain in once, put in the nastiest sclerosant, we'd probably fix it, but we might make it worse for a while.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm worried about. So what I think we should do, we should come back, do the same thing again, except this time leave the drain in for a few hours while you're in the hospital, probably in our holding area. Completely empty the collection, put in sclerosant that's a little stronger, leave it plus the drain for a while, and then completely aspirate everything. After that, I still don't think there'll be much you can do to make things better or worse, but I think at least having some pressure on it for some time each day is helpful in that it will kind of tend to compress the two walls together, squish them together, so there's a greater chance they'll stick together. So that's my suggestion.
Yeah.
That's like we should.
So remember that sun pressure.
Well,
Because my
whenever
husband
he
usually
says
goes from
sun
one
pressure,
spectrum
I need
to the
a-
other end.
Yeah.
I need a number though. Some pressure.
I know you
is-
like specifics. Yeah. I'm making them up, to be honest. I don't know. Nobody knows. Everybody's different. But if I were you, I would probably do a few hours, a couple times a day, like 1 or 2 hours, twice a day. Say, seems reasonable. Not enough to cause skin breakdown for sure. And your wife is going to keep watching and seeing if anything occurs that suggests skin breakdown, which would be, real focal redness in a particular spot. I think that after you sclerose the area, I'd expect it generally to become a little more warm, a little redder. But if it really gets to be a focal small spot, like a quarter, gets really red and really hot in that one place, that's what skin breakdown looks like, I have to tell you. So,
We thought. Well, I thought that once you put that sclerosing agent in,
right?
well,
Mm-hmm.
just thinking
Sure.
about that sclerosing agent, you're
Yeah,
gonna put in a little bit more hardcore
Right.
sclerosing agent.
Right.
Will that cause necrosis or skin?
I don't think so,
Killing.
because we're still
So-
not using the really dangerous one. Sotradecol is what we're using. Sotradecol is a detergent, and it kills cells in the lining just by acting as a detergent. This time we're going to add ethiodol, which is going to make it more potent. But we're not going to the further end of the spectrum, which we could if we ever had to, which is alcohol. Alcohol works great. I mean, it's strong. We inject, direct alcohol, straight, no water, no nothing. And that sclerosis things very well, but it's definitely the one that causes skin breakdown. It's at the furthest end of the spectrum, very likely to work, most likely to cause skin breakdown. So we started with you kind of with the most gentle, just the Sotradecol. I think we're now going to move somewhere in the lower half of dangerousness, and efficacy, which is Sotradecol with ethiodol. And if we have to, we can go to ethanol, alcohol. But
I see.
since it's not, it's an annoyance and a problem, but it's not a life-threatening problem. It's something that you can deal with for some time. I think it's best not to jump to the strongest thing, because we can do you more harm. You can always live with that collection. I mean, I know you don't want to, but yeah. So I think working your way up from the conservative to the less conservative is the way to go, and try not to cause harm along the way. So how about that? It'll be kind of like the other time you visited, very much like that. Use ultrasound, don't put that tube in, and go from there. So,
Oh, speaking of ultrasound,
yeah.
do you why should we do another ultrasound of the area just to see if there's fluid in there and where
I'm sure
it's
there
at?
is. Yeah, I can feel it and you can see it.
Okay.
It's pretty clear there's a collection. I'd say it's a few hundred cc's. It's about that big, about that thick. And without a doubt, it feels like fluid. Yeah, it feels like it did originally.
Okay.
After we finished the last time when we pulled the drain out, it was kind of flaccid. It kind of flattened out.
And
you
you
could
can
tell
see
that it
the
was,
skin loose.
yeah, exactly. The skin gets loose, kind of baggy, and you know that most of the fluid's gone. Yours is a little loculated, makes it a little harder. Loculations mean collection. If it was like a water balloon with no septations, well, that's easy. You can suck all the fluid out. But if there's little walls, little septations that divide the collection up, it makes it a little harder. So I think that when I put the tube in, I'll probably use a wire, and as I'm using the wire to guide the tube in, I'll use the blunt end of the wire to try to break up those septations a little more this time.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so that's my plan.
That's why it feels firm rather than
Firm.
liquidy.
Exactly, yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
I thought that
Mhm.
since you put in the necrosis, then
Mhm.
it was going to make it hard, and make it harder,
Okay.
so that it wasn't like a water balloon. Feel like a water balloon. It was
Right.
make it all feel
Right.
pretty hard, but then
That's what
you're
we're
saying that
hoping
it's
for.
still a little bit.
I think that
Watery.
the goal of sclerosis is to kind of destroy the lining, kill all the cells in the lining of the cavity. And I think what we did last time, instead of kill them all, we probably destroyed or damaged a part of them and left the rest. And the rest actually got more inflamed. They were still alive and still able to make fluid and pour it into the cavity. So the effect was that we treated part of the lining, but enough of the lining was still alive that actually more fluid came back in. So this time we're going to try to completely kill the lining. If that doesn't work, we could go to alcohol, and that will definitely kill the lining. The lining when it's dead doesn't pour fluid into the collection. It's inert. It's not doing anything. So we want it to scar. We want to basically scar the lining so that it no longer dumps fluid into the collection.
Because I thought that once you did that scarring, then it actually somehow it constricted my my colon so that I wasn't able to poop anymore. But
I
is
see.
that
I think
a
it's far enough away
possibility?
that it's not. Yeah, this is all superficial on the outside. You've got your skin, you've got the collection, then your ischium, some of your pelvic bones, and on the far side of that is your rectum and sigmoid and colon and all that. They're actually real far away.
Oh,
So I don't
okay.
think
That's
it's
good.
affecting that at all.
Because
Yeah.
at the beginning it was really close to it. That's
Yeah,
6
yeah.
years ago.
Oh, okay,
It was
it?
really close
Oh,
to
really
it.
close.
Mhm.
Yeah, now I'd say at least about this far away. It's pretty far away. So yeah, I don't think it's your constipation you described. I think is definitely unrelated.
Maybe you're just nervous.
Yeah, or maybe your activity was different. You were less active because you were worried about this problem. And generally, activity keeps your colon moving, actually. So,
Yeah,
as you know better than I bet. Yeah, you've learned that.
yeah,
So,
it's difficult because I'm thinking about I want to do transfers and things like that and move
Right.
around and
yeah,
keep busy because that will be good for the
yeah, keep things
going to the
moving.
restroom.
Yeah,
But
but it might be bad for the collect. Well, I think if your goal is 1 or 2 hours of lying on it, or even a small amount of sitting on it each day, then use the rest for all your transfers and keeping active. So. Yeah.
and you don't think that it was the shearing from the transfers
No, I don't think we
that
did anything wrong.
caused any of the swelling to
No,
jump up?
I don't think so. I think that when you irritate something, in order to attempt to kill it, you can, if you're too delicate, you can just irritate it and make it worse. But you have to really kind of assault it so you actually kill it, kill the lining. So it's a little bit of a balance. If you kill it too much, well then all the skin over covering it dies. So we're trying to get somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad that it's actually hurt less.
Yeah.
That's a good thing, because usually it's the opposite. So.
Why would it hurt more?
Well, we're causing inflammation, really. People use a lot of substances and put them in those collections in order to cause inflammation. It's really a simple thing. There's not a lot of science behind it. People have used lots of different chemicals. They've used, salt, alcohol, antibiotics that are really concentrated to irritate the lining. So,
Everclear?
I think Everclear would be better. It's just straight. It's 98%. So it's only 2%. It smells pretty strong. Yeah.
Will they be calling us to schedule the next
Yeah,
procedure
they
too?
will. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Need a pen. Let me go get a pen and I'll be right back. So you can sign the consent. We'll try to do as much as we can today and get things out of the way. And I'll be right back.
I have one.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Perfect. I don't think you need any labs or anything.
Nice and pink.
I don't think we need to keep poking on you and checking things because it looks like you're doing well. No fevers or anything. No, okay. People love to order labs and imaging and things constantly, but I think it's best, why don't we not look, let's leave that alone because I think you're doing well. There's no sense in looking for things that you don't want to find.
Yeah, we like you were saying,
If you had
I don't
fever
think
or
there's
it
an
was red
infection.
or, yeah, then we do some labs, but I don't think so.
The day that he got released from the procedure, he had diarrhea, so we
Oh,
cleaned
yeah.
it right
Oh,
away.
right, okay.
Because
That's good. You're lucky you have such a good wife. She makes things so much easier. Some people don't have somebody with them all the time that knows them and cares about them and watches these things, and makes it a lot harder because then without somebody caring for you, well, things don't work as well. So I think you're gonna eventually be where you want to be, especially because you got your wife helping you. So here's the spot to sign.
He doesn't like to hear that.
Oh no, she's good, yeah. Imagine life without her, it would be
So much
definitely
easier.
it would be easier for a while. Maybe the first half of the day would be easier, but the second half would be worse. I think.
Basketball galore. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
What's your?
I forgot.
Oh yes, don't worry. This is just for the hospital. What matters is you and I and your wife talked. This is a consent form. It just says my name at the top. It says sclerosis and ultrasound guided drain ischio collection. So same as last time. This just prevents us from having to do this again on the day of. I don't even know, maybe 10? Guess 10 o'clock is okay with me. And I'm not sure I scribbled it. That's probably not what I should do. Okay, perfect. Alright. Well, I'm glad to see you again. I'm
Okay.
sorry it didn't work, but I'm also happy we didn't make it worse. Now we know what we'll have to do. Do it again, use some stronger stuff.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
we'll leave that tube in longer.
I just thought that the sclerosing agent, it would like you're saying, it would cause pain.
Yeah, me too.
But I thought that the pain would go quickly. I mean,
Yeah.
it would cause a scarring or whatever within
Right.
a few days,
Yeah,
and so the pain would just kind of vanish.
right.
But you're saying that the pain should have actually lasted longer.
I would have expected to have caused you pain. That kind of indicates maybe we didn't use concentrated, irritating enough substance. Yeah. So, all right.
Huh.
Okay. Well, I think we
Thank
might
you,
get
Dr.
next time. I'm hoping so.
Appreciate it.
I think so.
Thank
You're welcome.
Yeah, I hope so too, man.
I'll see you next time. I'll see you probably in usually whenever they have some time, but we usually have space available for this kind of thing. So I think they ought to get you pretty soon.
Oh,
But, yeah.
and
Mhm.
I don't really feel the area.
Right, exactly.
So whenever you're putting me in the sclerosing agent,
Yeah,
then I didn't really feel it, so
Right.
I didn't have to
there's no feedback.
fast.
Yeah.
I didn't have to fast the night
Oh,
before
fasting.
because I was not taking. I
Right,
didn't have to
okay.
take
I'd be okay with that. If you don't want to do fasting, I just eat like a light breakfast, kind of liquids and things, because the nurses still get excited about doing a procedure, even if we're not giving you sedation. I'll back up. The reason that we have you fast is so that we can give you IV sedation, so that in case you get sick and things come back up while you're half asleep, it doesn't go down your airway. That's the basic idea.
Just as long as
Oh.
you're not eating after
But
midnight.
yeah, like you're saying, since we may not use any sedation since it doesn't hurt, I just stick with clear liquids and things, jellos and orange juice and coffee, take your medicines. But no, bacon and eggs and that kind of stuff.
I can see how you would be a little bit hesitant because I still had that bowel accident right afterwards.
Yeah.
And it was like you tried to keep it closed and don't take a shower for a day, but then I had to because
Sure, yeah. Maybe next time what I'll do is we have it's basically glue. When we make this tiny incision, we put the tube in, take the tube out. Might put a little dab of glue on it because the glue it's the same as super glue. It actually is
Mhm.
super glue, and it makes a little clear. It actually glues the surface so that it's
So that will
harder
go
to
in.
go in. Yeah, and it will do that
Good.
just because of the proximity. So it help in case you have that accident. You don't have to stress about it. So okay, all right. Nice to see you again.
thank you very
Dr.
much for
Okay.
listening
Bye-bye.
and talking to me. And